I see you. And there's Valerie. And let me get YouTube going. So, how is everybody today? We survived the holiday weekend. Hey, Melinda. Thank you for being here. YouTube's always a little bit behind here. Hey, Ruth. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here anyway. I don't know how it is where you're at. But anyway, as I said, we'll be working with the Pro Bow today, and I had a request to show how I add tails to my bows when I'm using the Pro Bow, and so that's where we're at today. And let me get YouTube. It looks like that's going now. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and start. And do know that if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments. And after I get the bow made, then I come back and I review comments. Or I'm sorry, questions and comments, I guess. But if I look up while I'm trying to make the bow, I get all distracted and go down a different kind of rabbit hole. So, so anyway, if you're not familiar, this is the Pro Bow, and it makes beautiful bows. And this is actually the large size. This is an old model. I've had this for years, but I know there is an ultimate size also, but this one has served me fine throughout the years, even making tree topper bows. The bigger, the farther out you set these pegs, the larger the bow is going to be. And the ultimate one is if you're going to be making bows to go on a car or something like that. But as I said, even making humongous tree topper bows, this has been adequate. We are going to be making the bow. This right here, this peg is going to be the center of the bow. We're going to work outward. If you are familiar with the Easy Bow Maker, the Easy Bow Maker, you start from the bottom ribbon upward. We're going to be working on the Pro Bow from the top ribbon or the middlemost ribbon downward. And it just makes really pretty bows. Actually, I had one of these before I had the Easy Bow Maker, and I really like it. If I'm wanting to make bows that are exactly the same size or the same type, this is my preference. With the Easy Bow Maker, and even when I hand make bows, despite me measuring it on my cutting board here, I'm not able to make them exactly the same size, same proportions as what I would be if I could use the Pro Bow. But it's just one of my favorite ways to make bows. Just makes a beautiful bow. There is a learning curve. So I always warn people, do be patient. It took me about 3 days of just consistently watching tutorials. Regina Sellers, she is the maker of the Pro Bow. She has a lot of excellent tutorials on her site, and I do a lot of tutorials with this now, after using it for several years. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. And like I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. After I get done looking or making the bow, I will come back and I will answer the questions as they come in. But if I look up while I'm trying to make a bow, I'm just down, like I said, I've got bad squirrel syndrome and I'm down a rabbit hole. So now the bow I'm going to make today is pretty traditional. I love red velvet for Christmas. I don't know, something about the richness of the color and the texture. I just love using it. And so we're going to be using a red velvet ribbon and then another traditional, which is this kind of Christmas tartan plaid. Get this off of here. And the red velvet is a 2.5-inch ribbon. The tartan plaid is about is a 1.5-inch ribbon. And, you've always heard me talk about Sam's ribbon. Don't discount it. I got this several years ago, so I don't know if they still have this particular one. But every time you go up and look at the ribbons at Sam's, they usually have samples on either side. Go up and feel of them. Some of them are not so good, I have to say. But like this one, this is a very nice ribbon. Look at the body of this. And you can get this, you know, a 50-yard roll for next to nothing. And especially if you're new to bow making and need to make a lot of bows to practice, this would be a great way to try that. But as I said, don't discount it. This is a beautiful ribbon. So let's go ahead and get started here. And as I said, the Pro Bow, it works from the center of the bow downward, again, which is opposite of the Easy Bow Maker. And I like to make my bow with a center loop. So it might be a little bit different than what you might have seen somewhere else, but I always tell people, you know, there's no right or wrong way of doing anything. If it works for you, do not change it. But this is the way I'm going to show you how I make this kind of bow. And what I start out with, you're going to need some floral wire. I suppose you could use pipe cleaners. I've never done it that way, but I like to use floral wire. I get this from Hobby Lobby, and I like it just because it keeps it neat and tidy, and then it's got this little wire cutter down here. I prefer to use 26 gauge ribbon, or I'm sorry, 26 gauge wire when I'm making my bows. It's just, for me, it's a little bit easier to handle. 24 gauge, you can use that also, but you know, when I get into more stiff wires like a 22 gauge, I have trouble getting it tight enough around the bow. This is a 26 gauge, which is thinner than a 24 gauge, which is actually it's the opposite of what I would think. But we're going to need 26 inches of 26 gauge wire. I'm going to need 2 pieces of it. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this out. So there's 26 inches. Go ahead and make another one now. And like I said, this one, we are going to make this Christmas bow, and we are going to put tails on it. Now, there's another way you can put tails on it also, but I'm going to show you how I like to do it. So I'm going to go ahead. I've just doubled that back, and I'm cutting 2 pieces, 26 inches each of 26 gauge wire. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to place them in a U shape like this, and I'm going to take one of them and set it aside. And then I'm going to set another over here where I'm going to use it real quick. And I'm going to start with the topmost ribbon, and that's going to be this tartan plaid. I'm going to go ahead and dovetail it. And to do that, if you're not familiar, all you do, take 2 wired edges, fold the ribbon in half, and then I'm going to just take my scissors and I'm going to cut it at an angle. And it just makes a nice finished edge on the ribbon. Okay. All right. Now, I've also got my ribbon on this holder. It also comes with the Pro Bow. And I like to have it where the ribbon is coming off and away from me. It just keeps it out of my way. All right. Now, I'm going to set this down here, and I'm going to make just a real short tail on my innermost ribbon. And I like to start that with about, I've measured these and marked these. It doesn't come with the inches on it. It comes A, B, C, D, E, F. I usually use the C row, and that makes about a 6-inch bow loop. But I like to make this first tail about 5 inches. A lot of times I'll come back and I'll shorten it up. But I'm going to take this ribbon, it's laying down, I'm going to pinch it, and now I'm going to take that first wire, and I'm going to just wrap it around and pinch off this ribbon right here. You don't want to wrap it around a lot of times. I usually do it once or twice just to make it secure, but I'm just going to pinch it like that. Now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to wrap it around that center peg. Like I said, I like to put a center loop in my bow. This is the way I do it. I'm taking this and I'm holding this edge of this ribbon right at the center of this peg. I'm going to bring this other one over here around the loop, and now I'm going to pinch it. Then I'm going to take my wire and wrap it around either side. Okay, so now I've got it all pinched right there at that peg. I'm going to take the wire that's in my left hand. I'm going to wrap that around this peg. Now I'm gonna take it around this bot there. If you lift up this board here, it's got a peg down here also. I'm gonna take the wire that was in my right hand, I'm gonna wrap it around there, and then I'm gonna stick it underneath the board. Okay, just like that. So now I've got my center loop, and I've got my hands free now, so if something happens, I need to walk away, I can leave my ribbon. I'm gonna get this tail out of the way, and I think I'm gonna make three loops here. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what, we'll go ahead and wrap it around this peg next. I just brought it back here. I need to twist it so that the good side of the ribbon is showing. I'll come back over here. I'm going to hold my thumb there. I'm going to twist it. I'll put it around this other edge. Okay. Now I'm going to pinch it. You know what? I ended up with two. Hang on a minute. We're not going to do it that way. I got all messed up. I'm going to keep on going this way. Sorry about that. I usually just make one loop in the center, but I decided, let's be different. I need to keep on going so my tail is on the right side. All right, so let's go around this second loop here. Now that I've got you all confused. Now let's come back here to the back and pinch it. Twist it. Go around the next peg. Bring it back to the center. Put my thumb there. I'm going to twist it. Okay, now is where that second wire comes in. And I know you probably can't see what I'm doing because this wire is so fine, but I'm going to show you with a pipe cleaner also. All right, I'm going to stick that down through that center loop. I'm going to bring that wire back where it's encasing this ribbon back in the back. Okay. I'm going to draw it tight. And like I said, I'm going to show you with a pipe cleaner so you can see what I'm doing. Let me go ahead and cut that off. And again, I was over here at B. I'm going to come over here at B. Cut my tail. All right, let me show you what I was doing here. All right, so pretend like this is the wire, and I've got it shaped in a U like this. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it, I'm going to stick it down through the center loop right here and bring it out the right side, or my right side of the loop there. If you can see that. Okay. And then I just kind of work it back to the center. You want to work off the center of this peg here. If you get it a little bit off to the side, then your loops are going to be a little bit wonky. So anyway, I hope that helps. I know, like I said, I know you can't see this wire very well. All right, now let's go ahead and let's bring in that red velvet. And again, this is a 2.5 inch ribbon. I'm going to fold it in half, dovetail it. All right, now if I were making the tails another way, I could put some tails in here, but I don't like it where the tails cover up, like come out of the center and obscure the rest of my bow. So that's why I'm going to do it a little bit different here in a minute. But we're going to make some short tails. Again, I'm going to come over here to B on either side. All right, I'm going to pinch this. And I've got the good side of the ribbon is facing upward. There's the wrong side. This is the good side. And I'm just going to take it up off of my desk here, and I'm going to place it up against the back of that peg, trying to keep in the center. And I'm going to take that wire and secure it. Whoops. Sometimes they'll twist like that. Sometimes you got to take your finger and hold it. Okay? And I take one of them up out of my way. I take the other one down and stick it under the table. I didn't get that on there very tight. There we go. All right, let's stick the tail up out of the way. And I'm going to take this again. The right side is facing away from me. I'm going to wrap it around this next peg. I'm going to come back here to the back, right at the center, pinch it, twist it, and then go around this next peg. Okay, I'm going to put 2 loops on this one too. And you can follow whatever pattern you like. If you wanted just to use the same ribbon throughout, that's fine. Okay? All right, I'm going to be twisting it again. Hey, Regina, I just happened to look up. I see you here. How are you? All right. Sometimes I have a hard time if I have more than one loop that I'm going to make of the same ribbon. Sometimes I have a hard time that it's, you know, kind of shifting up and down. So I'll go ahead and I'll secure it there, just like this one. This one's a little thicker ribbon, so it's a little bit more stiff. All right, so let's go around the next pegs. And as you can see, this is gradually making your bow loop a little bit larger each time. And that's what kind of gives you that closed center, and then it works outward. All right, we're going to come back to the center back here. I'm going to pinch it and twist it. Put it around the next peg there. Pinch it. Twist it, and now we're going to secure it. Okay, and see, each time I come back here to the back, I want the good side of the ribbon facing there. So think about it. Did I forget to twist it? So because if the wrong side of the ribbon's facing you, then you probably forgot to twist it. All right, now I'm going to come over here again. I'm going to come to B, and we're going to dovetail it. I'll tip up my scissors out of the way up there. All right, get that out of the way. And then I'm going to come back in here and make a couple of loops with this. Now, if you wanted to, something you could do also, you can put these 2 ribbons on top of each other. If you wanted to do it that way, that's fine too. You'd be making actually twice as many loops at the same time. And I can show you how to do that too. We'll go ahead and do that for these 2 because I wanted to kind of double up on these. And eventually, Sarah, we'll get to showing you how I do my tails. All right, let me go ahead and dovetail these. I feel a little bit scattered today. Like I said, I had to peel a thing on TikTok just a few minutes ago, and I'm kind of got me rattled. I'm thinking, I don't even know what I did wrong. All we did, we had a good time. So hopefully it's just their AI system that thought I said some bad word or something, which anybody that knows me knows I don't ever say anything like that, but who knows. All right, so I'm just going to lay these 2 right on top of each other. And I'm going to make a little bit larger tail this time because we're going to be having larger loops. And I could have done this from the very beginning if I wanted to, but I just thought about it. I thought I'd show you. So let's go ahead and pinch this. And again, we'll put it right up here, right up next to that peg, trying to stay in the center. Twist our wire around it. And I wanted to show you something too. You know, I'm talking about trying to stay in the center of this peg. You also, and I know if you're just brand new starting with this, don't worry about it. But you also want to stay straight as as you look down on your bow as you make it. You don't want to have it, I have a tendency when I'm standing up like this, I have a tendency to let it kind of drift upward or drift downward. And that also will make my bow center a little bit off. So I have to be really careful when I'm doing it this way. But like I said, if you're just brand new starting out using the Pro Bow, don't worry about that. Just worry about going through the motions, and then you can perfect your technique later. All right, I'm going to come back around this, and I'm keeping these both one on top of each other. I want the smaller one on top. I'm going to come back here. This is the way I make my tree toppers with the Pro Bow. And actually, I start out in the center. Let's go ahead and we're going to pinch that. But just take your time. I promise you, you'll make something pretty. All right, now we're going to, see I've got both, the right side of both ribbons facing away from me. I'm going to try and get them evened up a little better here. Go around that next loop, or next peg there. Taking my time. Come back here. Make sure your ribbon is turned right. Twist it again. All right. So there we made 4 loops. With those 2, we made 4 loops instead of just 2. All right, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to dovetail these. I'm not going to dovetail those at the same time. Different size ribbons, it won't turn out right. All right, now the very last bow or ribbon I want to use, I'm just going to use the red velvet. Again, I'm going to dovetail it. And I'm going to come over here about 6 again. And here's another thing too, guys. If you don't want to put these extra tails in it, you don't have to. Like this here, you can trim them real short, or you can just keep on going where you don't have the tails. That's fine too. I'm going to pinch this. I'll put it right up here against the center. Secure my wire. All right, I'm going to come around this next peg. I'm going to pinch it, twist it around here. I'll make one more. I'm going to twist it. You just keep repeating that process. And I did this, I put just the red velvet. I like to have just a solid background for my bows a lot of times. To me, it just helps to highlight the patterned ribbon. Twist it. And now we're going to secure it with our wire. Okay, and let's dovetail it. Get that out of the way. Now, again, I want to be going straight this way, and then I want to also be going straight when I look down this way. And this is a time when I usually will check it. And you can make little adjustments if you need to. But just try to be aware of it as you're making your bow. All right, now I'm going to take this wire off the top peg. I'm going to unwrap that nice and neatly. Avoid the urge to just pull it up. I've done that before and my wire gets all tangled. So I would not advise that. So I've got the top wire in my left hand. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to undo that wire that's down on the bottom peg. All right, so I've got one in one hand, one in the other, and I'm just going to start tightening it. And I usually put my fingers here and kind of tighten it this way. Try to keep it straight where it doesn't buckle. All right, now we're going to lift up off of the board. I'm going to just put my hands underneath of it, just lift it off the board just like that. So you should have a little sandwich there. It looks like it. And I have to tell you, you know, if I'm making a lot of bows at one time, maybe I've got them listed for sale, or if I've got them waiting for upcoming projects, this is the way I store them. I just store them, you know, I'll secure this on my, I've got a frame that has some chicken wire on it, and I just hang these with some clothespins, and it just takes up a lot less space, plus my ribbon's nice and safe, okay? All right, now I'm going to get my fluff box out from underneath the table. And we're going to go ahead and fluff this bow. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and put your tail on now, you could, but I like to do it after I get it fluffed. And this wire, we've got both of our sets of wire here. This fluff box has a little eye hook underneath of it, or on the top of it, right here. And it has a little edge there where you can slip this wire underneath. Then there's a little nail over here where I can wrap my wire around it, and that frees up my hands. I'm going to sit this up tall like this, and then I'm just going to start fluffing it. To fluff it, I'm going to be starting at the bottom, and I'm just going to pull opposite sides. As I pull, I'm going to kind of twist my hands just a little bit, and I'll show you. So I'm going to take the tail one way, the loop the other way. So I've got my loop going this way, my tail going this way. Now I'm going to, let's see, bring some loops. I'm just going to go one layer at a time, okay? Sometimes you've got to come up here and kind of hold it. All right, now I've got, let's see where my next loop and my next tail. I've got a tail over here, so I want to bring this tail over here, opposite it. Okay, and let's go to the next one. This is both tails. I've got a green one over here, so I'm going to come over here with my green one. Try and make it opposite so everything's distributed evenly. Now let's go to the next one. I've already got my tartan over here. I'm going to bring this way with a loop. So I'll do the opposite on the opposite side. And you'll have to go back and forth to your different layers, so don't worry about that. It'll be kind of shifting. That's normal. Just work yourself up through the bow layers. I missed that tail there. I'm loving these colors, you guys. All right, let's go this way. This way. And then this little middle guy, I usually just stick him right there in the center. He can either go parallel or perpendicular to the other bow loops. Okay, isn't that a beautiful Christmas bow? I love it. All right, now I'm going to show you how I put my tails on. And this is a pretty large sized bow. It measures, let me measure it exactly here for you. Get the fluff box out of the way. And so this is about a 12-inch bow, give or take. I usually err on the side of caution, so whenever I'm doing my description for Etsy, so I'd rather it be a little bit too small, or a little bit smaller than they think than a little bit, or I'm sorry, the customer gets it's a little larger than they think rather than smaller than they think they're getting. So anyway, let's set that off to the side. And again, what I was saying, it's a big bow, so I'm going to want a pretty decent sized tail on this. And I'm going to use both of my ribbons. So let's say, let me look at it here. And of course, your customer can cut it down to size if they need to, or if they want to. Let's make about 18-inch bow tail. And I'm just going to put these right there together. And let's make 6 tails. Get enough ribbon off here. I'm just layering these right on top of each other. So we got 2, 4, we got 8 tails. That's good enough. Just trim them off. And this is still connected, that's okay. And then I'm going to bring them in here about halfway. I'm going to pinch them. Trying to get those all level, more or less. And pinch them. Okay. All right, and then what I do, I come underneath here. Remember we had those 2 wire sets. I'll separate those. I got them separated off wrong here. Let me, come on, there we go. And then I'm just going to set this down in here, in between those 2 wires, or I should say 2 wire sets, and I'm going to draw them tight, twist it. And I usually don't like to twist it a whole bunch because I don't want a big stalk on my wire, because that way I'm not going to be able to get the bow up secure to where I need it. Okay, now we'll come down here. Kind of smashed my bow here a little bit, but that's okay. You can fluff it right back out. We're using wired ribbon, remember. Good quality wired ribbon. And then I just come down here and I trim my tails to whatever size I want. Got that one twisted. And let's see, I've got one of these that goes to the inside, one of them the outside. I'm going to run the inside one just a little bit smaller or a little bit shorter than the outside one. Okay, and then I come through here and I dovetail them. I trim them to the size I like. I've got these, they're a little bit more forward. I'm going to trim those a little shorter than the ones in back. Again, I like to dovetail them just to put a little finished edge on them. Okay, there we go. I love it. Love those colors. It just says Christmas. If you like traditional Christmas. Isn't it beautiful? All right, I'm going to go back through and see if I see any questions. I see, oh, thank you, Regina. Thank you. I saw you were answering some questions for me. I appreciate that. Like I said, if I look up in the middle of making a bow, I'm lost. I've got a serious squirrel problem, if you know what I mean, as most of us crafters do. All right, I'm going to go through and see if I see any other questions. And as I said, Regina has a lot of um, really nice tutorials on her site at Pro Bow the Hand. I love the double ribbon, the one loop. I do too, Carol. And like I said, if I was going to make a tree topper bow, although this one is plenty large, just depending on what size tree you've got, but usually that's the way I start out, because then you're doing twice the work, getting it done in twice the time or half the time. Hey, Jean. Oh, thank you, Lorene. Not interested in bow making. That's okay. That is all right. Hey, Dorothy. Okay. All right. Like I said, the Pro Bow there is a learning curve, but just be patient. And as you can see, it makes gorgeous bows. And I've been kind of in a traditional mood this year. I don't know why, but I'm loving the red velvet and the emerald greens. That kind of thing. But you could use any ribbon combination as you like. As I said, Regina has a lot of Pro Bow tutorials that I'm sure are much better than what I just gave you. Like I said, I feel a little bit scattered today, but she has a lot of tutorials. I have a lot of tutorials. There's no right or wrong. You find a way that works for you, by all means, run with it. And just take your time. Have fun with it. And I do have the Pro Bow and the Fluff Box linked at shopmyLikeTerry.com. It'll actually lead you to Amazon. I'm sure Regina has it on her site as well. But I hope you enjoy that. Let me know if you have any other questions. And let's see here. Hey, Tess. All right, I don't see any other questions. All right, that's all I had for you today. People who are in my private group, remember we've got Wreath Critiques coming up at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And I will be live again. Oh, one other thing I forgot to tell you guys. I do have the centerpiece workshop open right now. Is for fall centerpieces. It's going to be much like what we did in the spring that everybody enjoyed so much. I'm going to put a link for it right now. I forgot to do that. But we will be starting on Friday. You'll learn 4 different types of arrangements. We'll go over greenery, how to match your florals. I'm going to give you some templates, where to place your florals so you don't have to memorize it from what I tell you, and that kind of thing. But we had a great time in the spring doing that, and a good turnout. And again, we'll start on Friday. You do not have to be present for the live version. I will be recording them, and they'll be available to watch at your convenience. And if anybody has any questions regarding that, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you. So, thank you, Vince. Thank you, Sherry. And I don't see Sarah on here. Sarah was the one wanting the tail tutorial. Like I said, I have made them where I've just let the tails work out of the bow like that too. But I found that this is an easier way for me. Anyway, so, okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thanks again, Regina, for helping out with the questions. I appreciate that.